Grand Rising, everyone, and welcome to another update. Today, we're going to be talking about the Artemis II operation in space. Is it a hoax? Is it real? A lot of speculation out there. Also, regarding Trump's situation in the hospital due to a stroke. Well, and what's happening right now with Iran regarding the final retrieval of what they were trying to recuperate, the island of Karg, and of course, the blasting of their pipelines, their energy centers, and so on and so forth. What if I tell you guys that all of this is connected? All of this is connected to what Trump is trying to do. Right now, Trump is getting position with members of Congress, Anna Polina as well, and others that are getting in a position to actually release everything they know about aliens and UFOs. And so this Artemis project was actually a hoax and designed by NASA's deep state. NASA tells lies in order to cover up what's really happening in space with members of Space Force, Solar Warden, 24 admirals, and of course the Galactic Alliance. And that explains why they're sending fake pictures of Earth and the moon as if nothing is around there, when in essence, it is full of bases, interplanetary infrastructures, and ships that are in the 3D, visible to the third dimensional human, that are used by Solar Warden, the Positive Secret Space Program. So all of this ties in together, guys. We're going to go deep once again. And at first, I really thought that this Artemis project was a Y-hat operation. But then I took a couple steps back and said, wait a minute. This is being done by NASA. NASA is a front. Space Force has the real technology. So that's when I investigated and dived deep into the Artemis phenomena. And it turns out that it was all staged in a Hollywood setting because of the fact that they're getting ready to disclose the truth about everything. And that explains why the deep state used an directed energy weapon to cause a stroke in Trump. Trump had a stroke about 5 days ago. I don't know if you guys heard about that. He had to go to the hospital for a few days. And yes, of course, he was recuperated thanks to the Galactic Alliance so that he could fulfill his mission and disclose the truth about everything. And so a lot of this also ties into what we've all been waiting for, the EBS. They just needed evidence. Most of the evidence is there. There's still a few more documents that they need to retrieve. And I believe that those documents are underway. So as the world seems to be heading into what many call Armageddon, what's really happening, guys, is that things from behind the scenes are reaching a climatic point. Guess I did no introduction. I got right into it. Well, before I start with Operation Black Vault, okay, and then I'm going to go into the NASA hoax, and then I'm going to go into all kinds of stuff and how it's all interconnected, including the attempted at giving Trump a stroke, and of course, he was immediately recuperated, and until he, of course, finishes his objective. So before I get started, guys, I do want to remind you guys that I have classes available this coming weekend. The deadline ends, I believe, Thursday. After Thursday, Friday morning, I'm going to close up the classes. So whoever gets a chance to go, I do have 3 different levels ascension courses. And of course, my groundbreaking class, our Cosmic Origin, where I break down the entire cosmic history, the infrastructure of the cosmos, the different advanced space age societies, the different intergalactic councils, and of course, at the end of the final class, I get to tap into your energy and identify your star of origin, your star seed origin. All right, one final thing, 2 more things. I'm sorry, I know a lot of you guys are like, what? I want to know what the heck's happening right now. All right, well, as many of you guys know, I'm going to be doing one final conference this year, and then I'm going to just strictly focus on writing my next book that is coming out, and of course, the second book that I've been working on. So my last conference to be in person this year, for at least for a while, is coming up in May 8th, 9th, and 10th here in Sedona. However, I will be taking the stage the 9th, which is on a Saturday at 4:25 Pacific time at the Performing Arts Center in Sedona. I'm going to be one of the speakers at the Rise of the Guardians conference, and I will put the description or the link in the description, of course, pin it in the comments at the end of the live. And then one final thing, Galactic Jedis, don't forget to eliminate all those nanotechs, graphene oxides, and all those metals in your body so that in the event that they do rank up 6G or any other frequency devices, your body is cleared and those nanotechs will have no effect on you. The link is always in the description. And of course, I pin it in the comments at the end of the live. Oh, one final thing. For those 20 individuals that have been partaking in my monthly special webinar, as we go over my next book, which is really the cosmic origin of Ishmael Perez, we're actually going to go over chapter 3. Chapter 3 on the 26th of this month, I believe. And again, I like to keep this small and intimate because it is very interactive. Not only do I read a chapter, but we also go over some of the things that are read in the chapter, and then I get to hear your feedback, any similarities. So it's very interactive, and I believe that's on the 26th of April. Yes, 26th of April, which is on a Sunday, for 90 minutes, a private session with Ishmael Perez under the search for knowledge through my website, ourcosmicorigin.com. Again, only 20 people, very small and intimate, so that way it could be worthwhile. All right, with no further said, we're going to get right into it. As things seem to boil up, all right, like we're heading into some sort of climax here. Well, it is my honor to say that in the aftermath of this high-value intelligence retrieval, and I mentioned this about a week ago, centered around Karg Island, the Alliance Command initiated a coordinated domestic operation targeting elite infrastructures that were embedded within the entertainment sectors. As a result of this was known as Operation Black Vault, which resulted in the simultaneous breach of over 200 high-profile properties across the United States, including multiple estates within the Hollywood zones. So again, they need this, okay? All this is leading to mass arrest, and it's all interconnected. The primary objective of this Operation Black Vault was to seize all the data archives that were underneath Karg Island that were apparently linked to illicit financial networks involving human trafficking, logistics, and of course, blackmail operations. So Karg Island apparently did function as a central data repository, as revealed last week, a convergence point for offshore financial routing by the globalist, with encrypted communications, and of course, an asset coordination tied to a global elite network. Well, some of the recovered materials included not only ledger systems that map offshore money flows, as well as identity-linked transaction records and encrypted storage units containing blackmail archives. The significance of the find was not financial, it was more structural. So for the first time, this network is no longer fragmented because it was mapped out by the Earth Alliance. And following the description of key data clusters, and again, a lot of this also ties in to us finally pulling out of NATO and allowing the dismantling of the European Union, the globalist organizations, the WEF, and of course the World Economic Forum. All right, so all of this is tied in together, guys. According to this operation, the Alliance Command authorized immediately action. It included joint task forces that were operating under classified authority that initiated synchronized entries into targeted locations that were identified through Karg data sets. And that included the private estates of some of these celebrities that were really embedded. And yes, a lot of this ties into P. Diddy, as he was also running his own Epstein network. media executive residences, production-linked properties, and of course, hidden server nodes that were embedded in luxury compounds. Well, these were precision strikes based on recovered intelligence. And yes, they did reveal that the United States is using advanced technologies to target all of these things, as well as where the nuclear silos are. There are 2 more left. After they take those out, the war with Iran will be over. Therefore, the White Hats will have achieved their objective of making sure that the Iranians no longer develop nuclear weapons. So inside this property, as they finally seized Karg Island within the last few days, and I report on it even before they did that, all right, teams apparently reported that there was some high-capacity data drives that were containing cryptic files, surveillance archives that were actually used for coercion and leverage, and evidence of a coordinated trafficking network. So the scale of this digital evidence alone exceeds expectations. Apparently, entire systems previously thought to be decentralized were found to be interconnected through hidden data architectures. And we're talking about the interlinking of the Vatican with the Mossad with the Swiss bank, the entire central banking systems, the monarchy, the European Union, NATO, and of course, all of the other deep state globalist organizations. So what resulted as a result of this, guys, was a massive seize of the entertainment industry in Hollywood within the last 48 hours. Okay. And a lot of this, the implication is not that all participants were involved, but that certain nodes within the system were actually leveraged for access, influence, and concealment. So the reason such operations remain hidden for decades was because the system was protecting itself and all the corruption involving all those celebrities. Yes, all of those celebrities were clones, most of them, I say 97% of Hollywood, right? And that includes their financial institutions that mask transactions through what? Bitcoin. Now we do know that Bitcoin was created by Jeffrey Epstein in order to traffic little ones. And their connections to the media structures that were controlled narratives in order to brainwash humanity, all right? All of that stuff was in these files. And so there was no single agency that had a complete picture. Everything was interconnected. So it is important to understand that the true battle has never been physical, my friends. The true battle here between the alliance and what remains of the deep state cabal is, of course, informational warfare, okay? So the seizure of hard drives and data cores that they seized in Karg Island apparently represented a turning point, okay? Not to mention, they still have 2 more nuclear silos, or what they call arms depots, that they're trying to nuke, not nuke, but destroy. All right, let's continue here. So the evidence apparently was not erased. It's all there. The networks could no longer operate invincibly, and all the leverage systems began to collapse. So Operation Black Vault apparently made a transition from hidden networks to mapped out systems to untouchable power structures, being able to locate where they're at in order to dismantle them. So the raids that took place within the last 24 hours were a result of seizing all of this data that was recovered. So following the coordinated seizures, executive orders under Operation Black Vault, and again, you're not going to hear this in the media, phase 2 transition from data acquisition to human intelligence extraction and network unraveling. The objective was no longer just to collect evidence. It was to decode the system from within. Detention, interrogations, and digital forensics began converging to expose a hierarchy that had remained isolated for decades. So individuals that identified through the Karg Island data sets were placed under controlled custody for questioning. And these arrests were were put in priority level detentions. We're talking about an expansion of Gitmo here. And this not only includes major producers and Hollywood moguls, actors, as well as financial architects that were offshore routing specialists, communication handlers, that encrypted network coordinators, and of course, cultural intermediaries, which were influence layer participants. And each subject represented a node within a larger web. So, the interrogation process focused on correlation, and using recovered data, investigators were actually able to cross-reference testimonies with hard drive evidence, identify inconsistencies in narratives timelines, reconstruct operational chains across multiple jurisdictions. And so what emerged was a network of networks. All right, this is what the Alliance needed. And this allowed for a loosely connected global network through shared incentives that were sharing incentives and that were protected by a systematic umbrella. Okay, so some of the most valuable assets were recovered thanks to the Alliance efforts in the seizure of Karg Island. And so as the data streams were decrypted and testimonies aligned, a pattern became very, very visible, okay? So it's important to understand that what happened here was a huge seizure of Hollywood moguls, huge directors, producers. A lot of their huge mansions were raided. It doesn't give me the exact amount of how many were arrested, but according to this briefing, it turns out that in the last 48 hours, all of those bad players within the Hollywood domain, Hollyweird, were apparently arrested. And one of the things that the Alliance discovered underneath some of these mansions, guys, I don't even know if I can say it on here, but I'm going to go ahead and speak in code, was parts of little ones. Ugh, I can't even say that. You guys know what I mean, okay? So, yeah, a lot of, SEXUL footage of a lot of the things that went down within this corrupt Satanist industry. So now you guys know who's been running Hollywood. All right. So all the evidence apparently did reach a critical mass thanks to Project Black Vault. And this allowed the Alliance, in order to prepare for abjudication structures, or they allowed for preparations that began for abjudication structures that were referred to in this, you could say, in this disclosure as tribunal frameworks. So all of this is now the evidence that we need for them to initiate the EBS and, of course, bring everything to light. So some of the things that have been designed by the Alliance is to process large volumes of interconnected cases, because apparently there are hundreds of thousands, if not a few million people that are all connected to this dark interplanetary network, okay? Including, of course, maintaining procedural consistency across jurisdictions. And so the most significant outcome in all of this is that the evidence is all going to be there, because for decades, apparently information had been used as a tool of control. And so now that that same information had changed hands from, of course, the deep state to the Alliance, all of this is being altered, okay? Including the negotiation dynamics, institutional alignments, the balance between secrecy and transparency. Apparently, the system, the old guard, is no longer operating from a position of invincibility, all right? Everything is now out in the open. and the alliance has the evidence. So, part of this rollout that was conducted by Operation Black Vault represents the transition from evidence collection to system interpretation, from hidden architecture to exposed framework, where the network has not yet fully collapsed, but it has been seen now. And once it's seen, it can no longer operate as it once did. So, the extraction of this truth, but in the extraction of this truth from those within the system, that will determine what happens next. Because in the end, we all know that systems don't fall when they are attacked. They fall when they are exposed. Okay, so this is important as to why this leads to the next topic, the Artemis project. Okay, again, I had to really dive deep into this, but this also parallels their attempt at causing a stroke on the president in order to shut him up. They were trying to kill him. Apparently, he was recuperated. He was in the hospital for a few days. And of course, the media is not going to report this, but the president was recuperated because he has one objective, and that is to disclose the truth about everything about extraterrestrials, UFOs, aliens, everything, including the secret space program. Okay, so we all know since the landing of Apollo 11 in 1969, we haven't been back to the moon, right? We all know why, right? And it's nothing to do with flat Earth psyops. I'm going to explain that in a little bit for all you flat Earthers. Don't think that this stage Artemis project was done because there is a firmament. No. There is a bigger operation taking place in space right now. In fact, right above the Earth's stratosphere, there are huge interplanetary bases that are just floating there that belong to Solar Warden. And again, this is NASA full of lies that once again trying to show us while staging everything in a Hollywood setting, as I will explain, to show us that there's nothing out in space. This is all part of the same reason as to why they used a directed energy weapon to cause a stroke in the president 5 days ago. It's all part of the same agenda. They are cringing. They are fearing the day that all of this information would hit the surface world. And we all know why, okay? So, since 1969, it's not that we didn't choose to return back to the moon, guys. You guys want to know the truth, right? We were restricted access to the moon as to why we couldn't go back because of what Buzz Aldrin saw in the other space astronaut. What they saw in the dark side of the moon was what Richard Hoagland discovered in his book. And that was that there were entire interplanetary moon bases, architectures, human delegates that were working for SSP programs that were already there, coexisting and walking with aliens. So the entire dark side of the moon, as reported by William Tompkins, looks like New York City, but more advanced, with spacecraft coming to and from. And that is the God honest truth. And that is the reason why we haven't gone back to the moon and why everything has been staged in a Hollywood setting regarding space. Okay, nothing to do with the flat Earth. Well, declassified fragments and missions anomalies indicate that the Apollo era crews, this is coming directly from the Alliance to validate what I just said, that the Apollo era crews observed unidentified aerial craft maneuvering beyond known propulsion capabilities. And what happened when they returned back in 1969? They were pretty much, they were told to either shush or their lives was at stake. They were threatened. And that's the reason why those astronauts couldn't say what they really saw when they went to the moon in 1969, okay? They also saw structured installations located on the lunar far side. And they also saw artificial energy signatures that were apparently inconsistent with natural geology. Okay, so following these encounters in 1969, Apollo 11, directives were issued through controlled channels within NASA to limit further crewed lunar explorations. And that's when NASA was created to conceal and hide the real space secret programs. Okay, these restrictions were very jurisdictional, all right, to the point where Truman, before Eisenhower, even initiated a small group of men that were tasked to suppress all the evidence. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of the nasty Majestic 12, right? Well, that's the reason why we never went back to the moon. Now, by the late 1960s, guys, the moon was already under the influence of the planetary corporate conglomerate. Now, for those that are new to my channel, the planetary corporate conglomerate was a deep state secret space program, a you could say collaboration that was given to the deep state in the Western Hemisphere. We're talking about the Rothschilds of Europe, the oligarchs, the monarchies of England, and of course, Truman and the shadow government here, the deep state. All right. It was given to us by the negative grays who has struck a deal with Truman. All right. So, the planetary corporate conglomerate, since the 1950s, late 50s to be exact, maybe mid 50s, have been operating through compartmentalization programs, through secret aerospace and private sector extensions. And key findings have indicated pre-existing off-world infrastructure not disclosed to the public, joint occupation zones involving non-human intelligences and classified human functions, and of course, established transit corridors that were linked to the moon and to the deeper solar system operations. We also have deeper installations and bases on several of the asteroids and many of the other moons within the jovial planets. So we have tons of installations and bases all throughout our solar system, okay? And that is just the God honest fact. Also, what this infrastructure included, we're talking about the planetary corporate conglomerate, which is a secret government up in space, all right? They had also included asteroid resource extraction sites where they, again, created huge interplanetary stations on asteroids with artificial atmospheres, right, like oxygen, as well as, and not to mention, a lot of the bases are also inside the asteroids. All right, so take this as early disclosure. They also included early stage Martian and satellite installations. We have colonized the Martian planet as well, and the deep state's reconnaissance platforms. So all the public space agencies were not authorized to disclose or interfere with his operations. And this leads to the next topic, which is what? The breakaway programs. All right. Evidence suggests that parallel to public missions, a classified initiative commonly referred to as the breakaway civilizations had already achieved their objective. And for those that have been following me for quite some time and who have been doing your own research, you know that the spacefaring Nazis were the first to explore space, right? Before the spacefaring Illuminati through the interplanetary corporate conglomerates. So as a result of this, we all know that these breakaway groups developed advanced propulsion systems beyond what? Any chemical rocketry, right? And it just, that was the first hint. As I was watching Artemis last week take off, I was thinking, this is a defiling of the truth. They're showing the rocket using combustion and chemical engines. This makes no sense to me. At first, I thought it was, whoa, this is a white hat operation. But then again, NASA is controlled by the deep state. So how can that be a white hat operation? And then, of course, I had to go deep into the rabbit hole, and boy, did I discover how how they really staged this in order to uh, show humanity that space, that there are no floating interplanetary stations, that there are no off-world bases, that there's nothing on the moon. When in essence, again, the dark side of the moon looks like New York on steroids. Okay, it's all totally built out. So, what's happening right now, guys, is the final attempt by the cabal, knowing that they're hanging by a thread, to pretty much prevent the disclosure. And again, that parallels the directed energy weapon that struck Trump 5 days ago, or maybe even 6 days ago, giving him a stroke. So, all of this is resulting in what they call a dual track space presence. Okay. One is the public facing exploration, which is very limited. And the other one is what gave us breakaway groups, private sector expansion, corresponding to what? Classified documents, classified operations, black project operations. All right. It makes perfect sense. So the moon apparently served as a primary hub within this hidden breakaway two-tier civilizations. So from the mid-20th century onward, a structured information blackout was apparently enforced, and this was designed to prevent premature disclosure of non-human presence, as well as to maintain control over advanced technologies and stabilize geopolitical power structures dependent on scarcity-based systems like oil, chemicals, and the same old primitive ways of doing energy. Well, this period, which is what insiders refer to as the internal silence protocol, effectively halted public advancements into deep space. So humanity was apparently not incapable of returning back. It was not permitted to return back. And even up to date, right, as our space right outside of the Earth's stratosphere, as we go into the first layers of space, it's all built out, guys. All right, it's not just what they call our orbital space station. No, that's all NASA. Okay, that's also faked, and the space station isn't really there. All right, after going deep into this, I found out that even our own space station that was supposedly launched by NASA was also created in a Hollywood setting. The truth is that once you hit the stratosphere, as you're going into outer space, right, when you see the Earth as a blue hue, you start seeing that there's tons of infrastructures, interplanetary, interstellar stations, all right? And that's what's out there right now. So recent developments have indicated a transfer of operational control from legacy power structures to coalition aligned with disclosure objectives. So, and a lot of this has to do with the establishment of the United States Space Force, which again represents a pivotal shift towards reclaiming orbital and deep space jurisdiction, securing strategic off-world assets, and preparing humanity for public disclosure. So what's really happening right now out there, guys, is that Solar Warden, the interplanetary positive space program that has been counteracting the Dark Fleet, the negative ICC, and their alien negative overlords, are conducting a lot of massive operations right around the Earth's atmosphere. And a lot of this is in collaboration and coordination with the Galactic Alliance, all right, in preparation for the disclosure. All right, Trump was given 6 months. We are already in April. His time has passed. They have put fire under him. However, the deep state thought it was in their best interest to kill him with a directed energy weapon, but they failed. Okay, nothing's going to stop disclosure, my friends. Nothing's going to stop disclosure. So, the Artemis II mission is being utilized, all right, as a distraction to make us believe by giving us these fake pictures from space that there's nothing outside of the Earth's atmosphere as they're traveling supposedly to the moon on a combustion type rocket, showing us pictures that everything is from Earth to the moon. It's all empty space. There's nothing there. When in actuality, it's full of interplanetary stations that are floating in space due to gravity control. Well, technically, there's no gravity once we reach the first layers of space. So yes, those interplanetary advanced structures are literally floating in space. Okay, so this whole Artemis project included was part of you could say, cover up of what's really happening right now. And a lot of this ties in with, of course, all the evidence that Congress is being forced to release. And of course, the big day, they call it the big day, where Trump is all over the airwaves disclosing the truth about not only UFOs, UAPs, but the truth about the different types of ETs. And of course, the truth about how within the private sector, we do have technology that is almost 1,000 years ahead of the general public. So what's happening right now is that the truth of the matter is that humanity's absence from the moon was not due to technological limitation. It was the result of enforced restriction within a controlled planetary system. And that system is now undergoing systematic dismantling. And again, all of this ties in with the final operation to end all worlds, prevent Iran from developing nukes, the total dismantling, as Trump is now telling Europe, you guys don't have our back, F you. The total dismantling of NATO, right? The EU and all of those globalist agencies. It's all connected, guys. So the coming phase will include a release of historical data and mission archives regarding the Tier 2 breakaway groups and the reason why we never went back to the moon, confirmation of anomalies, observations, backed by all of the footage and, of course, documents that are going to be released by Congress, and gradual integration of advanced technologies that is going to bleed through into our world through Space Force. Right, through Space Force. So, in this age of information, knowing that this final battle is about consciousness, it is an information warfare. Okay, Artemis II program is not what it appears. Again, my friends, I thought it was a white hat operation until I realized that NASA is still under the control of the deep state. White hats is Space Force, two different entities. Okay. According to this briefing, what the public sees or has seen in the last week, almost a week since they supposedly launched Artemis, is high-definition broadcast of spacecraft, astronauts, and deep state, and is not really raw reality, but a carefully curated production, a performance. All the evidence is there, guys. Just do your research. All the evidence is there. It was all staged, okay? There are videos that are circulating, and I hope you guys take time to do your research. There are videos circulating online right now that apparently have been put out by people that have leaked the footage regarding portions of this mission being replicated within a controlled Hollywood setting, a controlled environment. Vast studio complexes that have been engineered to simulate the vacuum of space with near perfection or perfect precision. Advancing lighting, zero gravity simulation rigs. Well, actually, I was told that they were using like these things that was like holding them, like those things where you guys go skiing, those things that hold you up, that they're using these things to make it seem like they're floating in a Hollywood setting, giving the illusion of zero gravity simulation. Harnesses. There we go. They're using harnesses. Volumetric projection systems, tools so sophisticated that the line between reality and fabrication becomes indistinguishable. So, what did you say? I can't hear you. Green screen, yes. They're using a green screen, absolutely. So, the visual perfection of modern space footage that they are releasing apparently raises a question, my friends, right? Why does it look very cinematic? Why? Why is every angle so clean? Every shot so composed? And where is the fifth person? Where is the fifth person that is supposedly taking all the pictures? I mean, guys, it makes no sense. Never believe NASA, okay? NASA is connected to the Satanist Hollywood, the corrupt Hollyweirds. So, now, at the same time, all right, I know that a lot of flat earthers and those that believe in the fishbowl theory, the dome hypothesis, are saying, you see, guys, there is no space, there are no stars, there are no galaxies, it's just us. There was another document, all right, that I was able to access by the Earth Alliance that is going to put the end to the dome hypothesis. All right, here we go, flat earthers. According to this briefing, humanity exists within according to this PSYOP, as they call it, humanity exists within a contained environment, and what we perceive as stars, planets, and galaxies are either projections, energetic phenomena that is not yet understood, or constructs designed to maintain a specific worldview. Well, from this perspective, space exploration becomes unreal, right? Every mission, including the Artemis mission, is is all symbolic, all right? Reinforcement of what flat earthers consider a stage event. But again, the reason they staged it was not because of the flat earth theory, okay? It is because of the fact that they're trying to launch something so that they could take pictures from space and show that there's nothing outside of us, all right? That there's nothing in space once you leave the Earth's orbit. That is the reason, because they were trying to block what the Alliance was about to reveal, okay? So they're trying to control collective perception. Now, according to Alliance briefings, this is all part of a counterintelligence, the idea that there is unfortunately, a group of people on this planet that have fallen into the flat earth psyop. So coming from the Alliance briefings, this is counterintelligence, part of a larger psychological strategy that they describe as a long-term perception management program so that the public will never know about our exploration in space since the 50s. Wow. Well, yeah, flat earth theory was designed as a counterintelligence to further conceal the truth about the private sectors that have already been exploring space since the 1950s. Well, to me, that makes a lot more sense than this idea that we live in a dome. So it has been confirmed that the Central Intelligence Agency, under the control of the deep state, developed sophisticated methods of shaping belief systems by flooding the environment with competing ones. Under this model, the narrative that they inserted in the collective of humanity's mind was that space doesn't exist, that everything is fabricated, that all of the stars and the moons and the sun and the planets are all within this dome, and that everything is fixed, okay? Well, isn't that what the Dark Age Middle European societies believed during the Dark Ages before Galileo? And yes, Galileo was part of the Great White Brotherhood. He was connected with the Grail, the Order of the Grail, and the White Brotherhood, okay? So, within this controlled narrative, the hidden layer, according to this Alliance briefing, is the reason we never went back to the moon and why the flat earth dome belief exists is to conceal the secret space programs. Period. I don't care If I mean, I welcome everyone. All right, flat earthers, round earthers, triangle earthers, complicated, higher dimensional structural earthers. I welcome everybody. But this is what I believe in, and of course the alliance is backing it up. And the truth of the matter, guys, is that we have the entire solar system completely built out. Okay. All right. So the Earth, the layers that they were trying to conceal here, in trying to convince the people that there are no galaxies, that there are no stars, that there are no planets. How ridiculous does that get, right? Okay, so they were trying to convince people in order to conceal the classified aerospace programs that were conducted by Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and of course, Mc, I can't even pronounce the third one, McDouglas, something like that. Or do you remember the third aerospace company, McDouglas Group in or something? Hun, are you there? I can't hear you. I couldn't hear her. So also to conceal off-world operations that had been conducted outside of the surface population awareness. So in this context, the idea of stage footage apparently also serves as a purpose, not necessarily to fake all space exploration, but to mask all of these elements regarding the secret space program. McDonnell Douglas. That is the third company. Thank you. All right. Why is that, guys? Well, because if certain technologies or locations cannot yet be disclosed, then controlling the imagery becomes a tool for the flat earthers. Okay, and what makes this narrative even so compelling is not whether, of course, the Earth is round, the Earth is a toroidal field, but the truth is that all of this reflects a deeper human knowing that space is vast, that within our galaxy there are billions of stars, each star with planets and moons revolving around, which indicates that we are part of a larger galactic community. Okay, so this is all part of the flat Earth psyops. The flat Earth psyops does not want people to believe in our galactic brethren, in the star nations that come from the Pleiades, that come from Zeta Reticula 1 and 2, the Rambola system, Sirius, Epsilon Boots, Arcturus, Lyra, Orion. Guys, space and the universe is vast, okay? It is vast. And it's not all contained here within a dome. That is just ridiculous. So in a world where information is filtered, edited, and distributed at scale, and by the way, for all of my new subscribers and for all of my flat earth followers, just take what resonates and discard what doesn't, okay? And again, I always encourage you all to do your own research, okay? So in a world where information is filtered, edited, and distributed at a scale where even authentic footage can appear artificial, you have to start questioning things, okay? And when trust is in these supposedly institutions, what's the best way to describe corrupt institutions like NASA, right? When we put trust in these corrupt institutions, perception itself becomes unstable. Why is that? Because NASA is the biggest front and the biggest lie, and it has been since we achieved space exploration in the 50s within the private sector. So the result is a landscape where real events can look staged, fiction can feel possible, and certainty becomes elusive. All right. Furthermore, my friends, despite of this staged event that was, again, designed to counteract what's really out in space, in terms of what the Congress and Trump is about to do, we have to understand that there does come a moment in every controlled system when the weight of the hidden truth exceeds the structure designed to contain it. Okay? And that is just a proven fact. So, it is believed that that moment is gradually unraveling all of the competing realities. One reality presented through our official narratives and channels controlled by the Mockingbird media, right? The other one is another constructed through skepticism and counter narratives like the flat Earth's fish dome psyops. And then here comes the third, which is fragmented, suppressed, and incomplete, hinting at what? At something greater. And that is what's coming right now. And that is the reason why they failed at successfully executing a stroke. Okay? So, as we move deeper into the era that is defined by missions like the stage Artemis II project, these parallel narratives begin to converge eventually. Okay? Eventually, despite of all the countermeasures, despite of all the lies in this informational warfare, eventually the truth remains. And that is just a fact. So, we are living, guys, in a time where every massive disclosure is going to emerge and create a threshold event. A moment when previously classified footage will begin to surface. We're talking about the UAPs, okay, and all, of course, the UFOs and those that are in the water, the underwater civilizations, the inner Earth civilizations, and the greater star nations. All right. In fact, including scientific institutions that are acknowledging anomalies in secret because they don't want to be, called or put away or stopped by the deep state. So, yeah, there are a lot of things that are unfolding in secret where there is a revolution in science, where they are acknowledging these anomalies. They are studying them. They are seeing that zero-point energy is possible. They are seeing that the controlling of gravity is at our fingertips, okay? That Tesla, quantum technology is real. It's all happening, guys, okay? So, at first, the release could be a little subtle, right? Documents, testimonies, all of these recordings, all of a sudden, all these whistleblowers are given the green light, right? All of this is enough to raise questions, but not enough to confirm everything. And so when that moment comes, my friends, when that moment comes, the clear footage, the high-ranking confirmations, the real data that cannot be easily explained away anymore will all of a sudden be revealed. So we all know that for years, humanity has been divided between two extremes. The first one is those who believe everything that is presented to them without question, right? They buy into the negative. They are programmed. And then there are those who reject everything entirely and question from the beginning, right? So disclosure apparently is going to put an end to those that are just believing without questioning. When undeniable anomalies are acknowledged, the everything is fake narrative begins to fracture. At the same time, official institutions are forced to admit that not everything previously presented was complete. And of course, this does create a third position, which is the one that had long been obscured. That reality is more complex than either side imagined. So, as new information emerges, now that they failed at Trump's directed energy stroke attempt, past events are going to be reinterpreted. Footage will be dismissed. And right now, Congress is being pushed to do so. Again, a lot of this is being coordinated by Space Force and the Galactic Alliance. as the stage may be understood as, of course, okay, let me rewind a little. Footage that was once dismissed as stage will be understood as edited for public consumption, filtered to remove sensitive details, or presented in ways that mask deeper truths. So likewise, missions that were once thought to be entirely transparent are going to be revealed, okay? In order to have layers of operations, visible operations that have been concealed, come out to the general public. So within this framework, humanity begins to realize that it was never a choice between what's real and what's fake. In fact, it was a question of how much was being shown. So, one of the most transformative aspects of this coming disclosure, Galactic Jedis, is the unveiling of capabilities that have only been used within the private sector. And again, all of this is going to be coming through Space Force. Advanced systems will begin to surface. And I believe all this is heading towards the shift in 2028. Okay. Energy technologies that challenge scarcity-based economies, which will be replaced, right? And again, a lot of this corresponds with the war with Iran. Propulsion methods that redefine distance and travel, medical achievements that alter the understanding of biology, right? Many of you guys have been waiting for the advanced medical quantum healing modalities. So all of these technologies, my friends, that were once confined to classified environments will become part of the transition into a new societal structure, catapulting us into an interplanetary stellar civilization. And when this becomes a reality, which it will, right? I'm projecting by 2028, we will be in the first stages of an interplanetary society. Humanity's limitations that were once imposed by these secret societies who decided to keep this tech to themselves, right? It was the secret societies who initially negotiated with the Draco, the Zetas, and the Nabus back in the 1920s, beginning with the German secret societies. And then, well, technically, it all started with Aleister Crowley, and then the Nazis, and then, of course, the Cabal, okay? So, humanity's limitations that were imposed by these secret societies who decided to keep the tech to themselves by controlling the flow of information, including the countermeasure of the counterintelligence initiative known as Flat Earth. Okay, so the collapse of a long-held narrative does not occur without consequence either. For some, it is very liberating, right? A confirmation that reality is far more expansive than previously believed. For others, it is destabilizing, guys, where they're going to have to confront the truth that they've been lied to about everything, right? All the ideas of this foundational society, all these assumptions have all been incomplete. The Darwinian theory of evolution, incomplete. The fundamentalist organized religious interpretation of creation, incomplete. The idea that we were only here for the last 6,000 years, incomplete. How many resets have we had? The last one being Tartaria. And yes, the more I go deeper into this, the more I realize that about 250 years ago, the world was a global advanced society, Tartaria, right? And they cover that up as well. So this phase is often described as cognitive dissonance for the mass majority of those that are still drinking the Kool-Aid, let's say, or taking the red pill. It's also described as a paradigm shock, and it will be, especially for the religious people, right? When they find out that their biblical God, whether you call him Jehovah or Allah, was no other than an Anunnaki alien, right? The gods of the Old Testament is a consolidation of Enlil, Enki, Marduk, Anu. Think about that, okay? But also, what's necessary, because before a new understanding can even take root, the old one must release its grip. So as disclosure progresses, and it will be, because they failed in taking out Trump with the DEU, direct energy weapon. I can't believe that. That's crazy. But space is no longer going to be viewed as an unreachable void or a simulated illusion, but as a living dynamic environment filled with layers of complexity that is still yet to be understood. So, the moon, Mars, and beyond are no longer distant abstractions, my friends. They become destinations within reach, both physically and conceptually. And so, in the end, the competing narratives, the skeptical, the official, and the speculative, they don't just disappear. Also, they are observed into a larger framework where the truth is the only thing that remains. And so the greatest revelation is not that something is hidden. It is that humanity is now ready to see beyond what was hidden. Okay, and that is the true meaning of Apocalypse, the last book of the Bible. Revelations, right? Revelations is a revelation of massive data dumps. Everything that humanity was told to not look into, that was hidden from, is all going to be exposed. So it is important to know that the sky is also not a ceiling, right? There was one firmament that did exist and thousands of years ago, and during the Pyramidal Wars, it was destroyed by Marduk, the Anunnaki son of Enki. And that is all revealed in my book, Our Cosmic Origin. So for those that want to know the true history of the Earth, going back to thousands and even millions of years, as it is connected to the galactic history, right, 560 million years ago, I would suggest to order my book, Our Cosmic Origin. Mind blown. The most probably compelling book out there so far. And both of my books, including The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, breaking down this entire history of the Cabal and the White Hats, of course, is all available through Amazon or my website, ourcosmicorigin.com. So, in closing, guys, the veil is lifted, and the moment that we've all been waiting for we could look without fear anymore is at hand. Okay, it is fast approaching, and it has begun. So, with that having said,
I have news of Nick Pope's passing.
Nick Pope just passed away. Okay, breaking news for those that have been studying the disclosure for quite some time. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Nick Pope, but he's been doing this for many, many years. And apparently, Nick Pope passed away this afternoon. The last few weeks of his life, even as he suffered, he managed to do a few interviews from home. I was so lucky to have met and have married Nick. So this is coming from his wife, Elizabeth Ways. He was a wonderful husband. I loved him dearly. So Nick Pope just passed away. Yeah, for those who don't know who Nick Pope is, he used to work for the British Intelligence,
British Ministry of Defense.
British Ministry of Defense. And so he defected. That's Nick Pope. He defected. He defected in order to release information and be part of the disclosure, right? To tell the people the truth. And so he's been doing this for quite some time. I do have one super chat right now that I'm going to answer by Douglas Marshall. Thank you so much for the super chat. Has the reincarnation trap finally been destroyed? Yes. Or does our karma continue to entrap us in the cycle of reincarnation? No. Now we are once again freed to ascend back to our fifth dimensional galactic avatar or beyond. Don't we have free will in whether to return to this 3D Earth? Well, you do, but if you want to return back to a 3D Earth, why would you want to do that? Where it is the most densest plane of reality, where everything is extremely polarized, right? In a state of a dark age. No, you want to go back to the 5D or above, or even the 4D. The 4D still projected to be better than the 3D. All right. So let's continue here. All right. Now it's about that time, guys. Thank you so much for the water. It is about that time for Q&A. All right. I'm going to give some shout outs really quick. I'm going to welcome all 3,000 people that are in the house. Thank you guys so much for spending your evening here with me. And also wanted to thank all of those that watch it on the replay. Thank you guys so much, because without you guys, I wouldn't have an audience. I would literally be speaking to myself. No, I wouldn't be doing that. All right. All right. So I want to give some shout outs really quick. I see Uriel Aurora in the house. Cassandra Lee is in the house. I'm going to try to shout out to people that I've never mentioned before. Super Glenn is in the house. Darren Ripe is in the house. Project Skyfalls, Jill Hunt, Nonconformist Cave. I love that name, Nonconformist Kev. Cheryl, Vicky Brown, Tina Bailey, Donna, 369 John. What's up, John? Nacy 1155 is in the house. Who else is in the house? All 3,000 people that are in the house. Okay. So now is where I take Q&A. All right. If you guys have questions, I hope to have answers. So yeah, for all my new subscribers, it is almost a prerequisite to read both of my books, Our Cosmic Origins and The Secret Government. Both are full with a lot of vital information. And again, my books are available through Amazon or my website, ourcosmicorigin.com. Second super chat of the day, Nathan Taylor. Thank you so much for being here. Why do cats have slits in their eyes like a reptile, but other cats don't? Lions, jaguars, mountain lions. Good question. I do not know. I don't know how to answer that. I'm sorry, but that's a good question. I wanted to also thank Susan K for her donation. Thank you so much, Susan K. Third super chat from Zuzeka. What's up, Zuzeka? Thank you so much. She says, the other night you said you were having ascension symptoms. I still am having ascension symptoms, guys. There's times where I wake up or I can't go to sleep till like 12, 1 in the morning. And I lay down to rest at around 9:30 or 10. And I'm just laying there, tossing and turning. And next thing you know, I look up and it's already been 2 to 3 hours. And then I tell myself, why can't I sleep? Or sometimes I fall asleep and then I get up at 3 in the morning and I can't go back to sleep till 6 in the morning. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, I do have a lot of ascension symptoms. What kind of symptoms? Well, I just mentioned them. Yeah, throughout the day, sometimes I feel extra tired. Okay, she says, because I am tired sometimes like a bottomless well. Well, that makes a lot of sense, right? We're really taking a huge, you could say, influx of solar energy right now that our bodies are acclimated to. Any updates on med beds? All right. So all of the advanced modalities, free energy, advanced alien, exotic techs, um, that cannot come out until we have world peace. So we first also have to um, execute what's left of the cabal and reveal to the world what's been happening, what's been going on. Once we do that, guys, there is no cabal, then they will release everything. Okay, so they're doing this very strategically. So next super chat is, and again, any of this could happen any moment now, guys. So anything could happen in the next few days. Who knows? But it's always best to be prepared. Is SpaceX part of the positive timeline? Elon Musk, SpaceX. I think that Elon Musk is also working with CIA. I think he was working with the good branch of the CIA initially, and I think that they created SpaceX through him to compete with NASA, that is controlled by the deep state. So yeah, I think SpaceX is somehow going to integrate with Starlink and Space Force in the end. Good question. So yeah, SpaceX is definitely on a positive timeline. Oh, and yes, I forgot to mention today is the 6th of April, 2026, and you guys know it. We are still on a positive timeline trajectory. I forget that I can't hear you guys. It's not like I am on stage and you guys are in front of me sitting in a crowd in person. That'd be nice, huh? Then we could all say, welcome, or yes, we are still on a positive timeline trajectory. I like it. Positive timeline trajectory. Hey, guys, ultimately, everything always collapses back to the original sacred timeline because God Almighty is in control, right? God Almighty is in control. So does the director of NASA was lying live on TV is asking Eddie Suarez? Yeah. Everything that comes out of that agency, guys, controlled by the deep state. Signed up for your course starting on the 12th, says Teko Yagi. Thank you so much for the super chat. So excited. I thought Trump was put in hiding. What happened? No, he wasn't put in hiding. He really had to go to the hospital because there was a stroke that was induced by a frequency beam. And if the solar flash is supposed to come before disclosure and EBS, oh, so many questions. The solar flash and disclosure are probably going to be happening right around the same time. So confused on timelines. Yeah, I know, because right now there is multiple timelines that are overlapping one another, right? Like the different frequency bands or radio stations that occupy the same space, or the different television channels, right? Frequencies that occupy the same space. I like that. NASA, never a straight answer. That's so true. Is there a God or not? Yeah, there is a God, says Linda, asking Linda. Is there hell? No, that was fabricated by organized religion to control you by virtue of putting fear in you, right? And then you become subjugated to them. So no, God is real, but it is not the way religion describes it. It is not a man with a beard sitting on a cloud throwing darts every time we don't do what they want, right? Or God is more of an energy source. It is the underlying energy field that binds and permeates all living things throughout the cosmos. It is known by many names. It is unmanifest. It is pure. It is, in terms of physics, it is energy vibrating at the highest frequency, pure luminal essence, original thought, never created nor destroyed, eternal. That's what God is, the infinite creator. Now, there are different functionaries and aspects and branches of the infinite creator, like the 12 archetypes, the 7 mighty Elohim, and the different branches of celestial categories or celestial beings. I mean, I could do a whole presentation of that. But yes, God is very real, but it is beyond the religious interpretation. I do have another super chat from Volleyball Shady. So when the 3-day blackout happens, will it be everyone at once sleeping? For those that are adjusting and acclimated to the fifth dimensional 5D avatar, yes, you'll have to rest for at least 78 hours. I don't know about those that are going to the 4th D. We love you all with the Galactic Federation. Thanks for your help. Oh, you are so welcome. Thank you guys as well for being here. And again, as mentioned in my prior presentation, you are all part of the ground crew, right? You guys are all part of the celestial host of heaven that have returned to what? To bust this system from within. Just your energy, your presence, vibration is good enough to bust the system from within, all right? We are system busters, as proclaimed by my Pleiadian sister, Barbara Hanclau. Oh, no, sorry, Barbara Marciniak. I always get those two confused. We are all disciples of the one infinite creator. We are all initiates. We are all children of the living Father and Mother of all that is. I have so many good questions. I don't even know which one to ask. I'm just going to random questions. Debbie Scott says I missed her super chat. Let's see if I could retrieve it, sister. All right, another super chat from Susie. Thank you so much, Susie, for that. She says, what is the significance? What is the significance of the Kaaba in Mecca? Thanks for all you do. Oh, you're welcome. Well, as mentioned, the Kaaba is a black stone that the Muslims pray to without knowing the true meaning of what they're doing and praying to. The black stone in Mecca, guys, is part of the Black Cube network. It is controlled by the inorganic fallen matrix, by the Antichrist. So it's all part of the embodiment of the Antichrist. Right? They're giving their energy away to the false creator, the false god, Enki, Demiurge, Yaldabaoth, whatever you call it. Because after all, it was Enki who created the matrix, the false reality trap that we have been in for thousands of years. All right, next question. This is coming from Nathan Taylor. Thank you so much, brother, for the super chat. When we go to the 5D with our new body, will we still have our tattoos? Oh, I am not sure. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. I'm going to have to ask. Good question, though. I'm going to have to probably get back to you on that one. I mean, honestly, if I were to take a guess, I would say probably not, because you're going to have a whole new body. See, this is our bodies of flesh and blood. And yes, even I have tattoos, right? Anarchy. I used to be punk rock. I have tattoos. But when we transform and inherit our galactic body, that is exactly what the Bible refers to as our celestial body. And so our celestial body is not going to be all marked up with writings or ink or anything. I don't think so. It's going to be pure, okay? But that's just my guess, all right? Take it with a grain of salt. Do your own research. Take what resonates, discard what doesn't. Good question, though. All right, Orion Awaken, thank you so much for your super chat. He says, I could have told you about the NASA mission, laughing out loud, signed up for your class 3.0. Can't wait. Well, I can't wait to meet you. Again, one of the things about my courses is that if you are new, first time taking a course with me, you get to tell me about yourself. All right, this is where I get to know you on a deeper level, guys. And I look forward to that. To me, that is the highlight of teaching my classes, is getting to know what you do, your work, your light work, um, your initial awakening, whatever you want to share with me. So I can't wait to see you guys this weekend, either Saturday or Sunday. Guys, pick a date. Classes are Saturday and Sunday. So you either pick a Saturday class, 2 Saturdays in a row, or a Sunday class, 2 Sundays in a row. All right. But the time to sign up is going to last for a few more days. And then I start class this Saturday. So, yeah, it's exciting. I can't wait to meet some of you guys. All right. Another super chat. Will Starmer be arrested? Thank you. Starmer. I don't know who Starmer is. Explain China's moon program. All right. Well, most of the, if not all of the space agencies, not just NASA, they're all falsified institutions designed to cover up the secret space program. Because within the highest echelons of Chinese governments, they are also investing in advanced alien technology and space craft. Okay, so even the Chinese have an element of themselves, very compartmentalized, just like ours, where they are part of the secret space program. Okay, so yeah, I would say that the Chinese aerospace agency is also a front. Oh, okay. Starmer is the UK Prime Minister. Oh, well, definitely cabal. Definitely cabal. Every person that works for Parliament, that is part of NATO, that is part of the European Union, they're all controlled by the cabal. Okay? They have all sold their souls to the devil. Was it the real Trump that was given a stroke? No, that was the one in the White House, which is somebody that is taking his place. He's one of the actors. And I do want to confirm that originally the Alliance had 3 actors, and 2 of those actors, there's only one left, right? And they tried to kill him a few days ago. 2 of those actors were taken out by the deep state. One of them was last June, and the first one was back in 2003. I think that actor had prostate cancer, from what I heard. Okay, so this is the 3rd actor, right? The real Trump is in secluded regions, protected. That is, of course, is what we see in the White House. So this is the final actor. If the deep state was successful in taking out the 3rd Trump, that would have been it, guys. Right? Disclosure would have never happened. J.D. Vance would have assumed power. And of course, we all know that J.D. Vance is the wolf in sheep clothing. Well, for those that didn't know, J.D. Vance is controlled by Peter Thiel, the creator of Palantir. And J.D. Vance is, well, I hope they don't try to kill Trump, because if they try to kill Trump, that's it. J.D. Vance is going to throw us into a AI-run police state, okay? Because he's totally controlled by Peter Thiel. So we don't want J.D. Vance in. We want to make sure Trump executes his mission. Disclosure. All right, let's continue here. All right, Irvine Awaken. He says, when we get the new bodies, will we get to keep the same form? Yes, you will still look the same, but your body will be different. I made 23,678 lifetimes with the same form. Oftentimes, guys, in every timeline, in every incarnation, we have very similar features. We always look the same to every other version of ourselves, right? Similar features. That is correct. So I could understand why you had 23,678 lifetimes where you look the same. All right, makes a lot of sense. The deal with Yaldabaoth, as I to call him. I know his entire origin. Okay, Yaldabaoth, yeah, the false creator. It's what the Gnostics called the Archon. What do they call him? The Demiurge. Can't believe I drew a blank. The Demiurge. Thank you so much, Deborah Nodelman. Thank you so much for your super chat. The real Trump would be on a hidden base somewhere, untouchable. That is correct. So how did this happen? No, as mentioned, they are on their third Trump, the last one. The first two Trumps, the first two actors were taken, those that are covering for him. The third one was the one that was hit a few days ago with a directed energy weapon, initiating or inducing a stroke, causing him to go to the hospital. But then he was recuperated. Who knows? Maybe they gave him a bed, all right? So, yeah, the truth of the matter is that the original Trump is not in the White House. All right, next question. Do you want to end with the prayer, honey?
I just saw the most insane video of a mothership.
Oh, you did?
Over Israel right now.
There's a huge mothership over Israel right now? I wouldn't doubt that. She's always researching. Let's see.
Oh my God.
Let me see that video. I want to show it to the Galactic Jedis.
Okay, one sec.
Okay.
I don't know what this is. If anything,
All right.
it's military. If it's
What do you guys think about this?
really
Over
okay.
Israel. Caught over Israel. Is this real or what? Watch it again, guys. Tell me what you guys...
It's a different video.
Oh, that's a different one? Okay, I want to put it back. Oh, there we go. All right, guys. What do you guys think? Real or not?
Your light's shining.
There we go. Real or not? This is what they caught over Israel right now. Here you go. All right, just a few more questions, and then we'll end with a little prayer meditation to speed up the positive timeline trajectory.
Over Tel Aviv.
Oh, so that was seen over Tel Aviv?
Yeah, and there's no sound, and it's just hovering silently.
That's so cool. Can't wait to research into that. Okay, so, all right, two more questions. One more question. It's almost at the 90-minute mark, and then I'll end this with a prayer meditation. Yeah, all right, some people are saying that's fake. Some people are saying that's wild. They saw the image. All right, last super chat from Holly Ship. Thank you for your update. Ishmael, I appreciate all you do. Positive timeline trajectory. 2 thumbs up. Yeah. All right, let's end with a prayer meditation. Lovey?
Hi, so I've just understood that some light workers are becoming really low on energy, life force. So you need to be able to like recalibrate yourself, to bring in this light. So with this guided meditation, if you have any crystals, I would like you to get them. Remember, we are on an ascension timeline, so that also involves removing negative energies. You can be removing negative energies from yourself or your home. So I also advise for some of you to use some resins or, take some time saging or taking a salt bath. But, whatever you want to add, it's your personal choice. I love using binaural beats. But what I want in this guided meditation is for you to just free up your energy, to not be questioning what is going on. Right now, in this moment, you have nothing you need to worry about. Let's just wipe that from your mind. You have all the basics that you need. You have the health that you need. And your body is being energetically aligned right now. So we ask to invoke the presence of Archangel Michael and Archangel Metatron to help you with your energy healing, so that they can sweep away all of your sorrow. This may be any damage that's been done to something, a recently disturbing event, a very emotional relationship that you're having a hard time going through, something going on with your job. You can fill in whatever you're feeling is disrupting your life. So, with this prayer, let us visualize and imagine a beautiful waterfall of golden droplets of light coming and washing your whole field. Let's just take this deep breath. You can put your hands together like the namaste position. And you just call upon your life right now to have this blessing of your complete aura healing with the titanium tube of light surrounding your entire aura, with the blue egg surrounding your aura, with the pink plasma egg surrounding your aura, with the gold flame pyramid surrounding your aura to protect you and keep you in a highly powered, potent, no drainage vibe. We ask that all this golden light be sprayed all over our aura. If you want to pick it up a notch, imagine rose gold. Take this rose gold light in and feel it into your heart. You might want to imagine the smell of roses or the smell of lavender. These are our plant energetic allies to raise your frequencies. Don't expect or assume that you know what's going to be happening with Trump's and Iran's war strategies tomorrow. The headlines will be seen. So let's just let that go and let that movie play out. Believe in yourself. Believe if you're in a relationship, believe in your partner. Believe that they know what is best for you. Believe in Archangel Michael and Archangel Metatron, that they are here to install the greatest new codes into your energetic body. Feel like you are in your safe space right now, and let us just take a couple deep breaths and ground, and let us have the most amazing, refreshing sleep. For those people that are lacking sleep, I intend that you have 8 or 9 hours to feel completely refreshed. If it's been difficult for you and your mind has been wandering before you go to sleep and you want to receive answers, just let them go and surrender them to your higher self and source, and ask that you are brought the perfect answers and guidance into your life. Together, we can touch the whole world. When disclosure starts to happen, we ask that it is from a pure source of an extraterrestrial, divinely oriented race that will contact us, and that none of the earth laws will be able to apply, but that we will be connected to them based upon our mutual understanding that we are divine beings that want to ascend, that want to continue on and go to source. So, translation, the government that has taken 75 years to do soft disclosure right now, and while us down here are made fun of still, tinfoil hats and all this, let us be the ones that people can refer to when they're going to start asking questions about things, when people start to see ships in the sky. Let us, through our life experiences, be completely taken to the next chapter of our life, to use all of our experiences and information to be accumulated and to create a corresponding timeline that opens up the gates for our most positive timeline, where we feel love and we are able to use our full capacity. Let this be done, and so it is.
And so it is. May the God Force be with you all, and I will talk to you guys in 2 more days for another update. Bye, guys.